very common in marketing strategy, the idea of clustering, because there's different types of buyers, young buyer, middle-aged buyer, senior buyer. And we did that because, and even Peter, in your slides, right, we looked at these age segments, and why was there so much need to cluster? Because we had no granularity, right? So all we could do is take our marketing dollars and try to put them in buckets. This is a senior. Well, you know, my mom's on Facebook and she has a blog. She's not the typical senior, right? Okay. So if you see what the future is going to be, is that we don't have to talk about people in buckets. We can really get down to a personalized shopping experience for every customer. That means we have to change our vocabulary. Because if it's available, and we know what a really customized message is, you know, Ben, tell the story about what happened at the hotel.
Oh, so I stayed
just this week, right?
Yeah, no, it was last week. I stayed at the Hyatt Regency in Louisville, and I had a good stay there previously, so I went on their Facebook when I checked in, and I said, hey, thank you so much for the quick check-in. I really appreciate how clean and prompt your service is here. So I go to dinner, come back to my room, and on my desk in my room were chocolate chip cookies and a chocolate milk, a regular milk, and a greeting card that said, we really appreciate your Facebook comment, Mr. Friedman. Sincerely, the Hyatt Facebook team.
So take that experience, take that experience in a CRM, and how about every time Ben checks into that hotel, he's no longer a single, handsome, metrosexual man that's in the box. Right?
You're in purple too today, okay?
Right. I know, that's what I'm saying, metrosexual. But this is Ben Friedman, who is a socially active person, and when he checks in, it's not his Hyatt Gold rewards because he's in this box with...
I've only stayed there 3 nights, period.
But could you imagine when we start to say we don't have 5 or 6 CRM processes that work, it's that we set the business experience rules in the CRM,
well,
and let it be customized. That's a whole new level of thing.
But you know, I mean, I think it's interesting when we're talking about customers and personalization. I've stayed at a hotel in Minneapolis for 38 days now over the summer, and the most personalized I ever got with them, and I did the Facebook thing, they never did anything, was I had left some books there, and I had called them, and after I left the hotel, I said, hey, I left some books on my nightstand, can you make sure I get them? And when I checked in the next time, they were sitting on the desk when I checked into the room the next week. But they, again, being proactive, the Hyatt did the right thing, I think, because what they got out of me was a video testimonial that I took and plugged on Yelp, on Facebook, on the corporate Hyatt Facebook page. So I mean, if we as dealer principals, or like professionals, were to do this, think of all of the free marketing we would get, going back to circle of influence marketing, and again, clustering people in terms of our capabilities. I guarantee you, somebody did something nice for your mom would be all over, making a video, obviously with your help, to promote it.
Right, so we never had the tools before. Right. The tools are emerging, but as thought leaders here in this room, we have to correct people when they talk in large buckets. That we have marketing meetings and saying we're going to do blast, we're going to do spray and pray, we're going to do, and when we should be preparing our organization to think of creating a unique experience and a unique workflow for everyone.
We're going to get into this a little bit more, just another one of the topics, right? But on the last piece on automated sales process, how many times have you submitted a lead and it says, thank you for taking a test drive at your store? You have 4 possible responses in your technology you can send out total. And that's because they upgraded the system. 4. You and I could think of thousands. You could probably even think of more than I could. But how stupid is it when a customer receives a, hey, I really appreciate you coming in and stopping in my store, right? Thanks for taking a test drive. I didn't take a test drive. I walked in and said, do you have a pink H2? They said no. They put my name in the wish list and said, I'll call you when it shows up. Does that tell me that we're connected? No. Business integration with real-time business intelligence. This is what Brian was talking about. Business intelligence will be the competitive advantage. It creates a significant advantage. It's defined as the ability for an organization to take all of its capabilities and convert it into knowledge. This produces large amounts of data, right? Okay, but when it's used together, it creates a significant competitive advantage. I can tell you personally, this was a huge issue for the company I work for. We generate terabytes of data weekly. We have so much data, we had no idea what to do with it. But Brian, you know what we said? There's no way we're not going to capture it because we don't know what we're going to use it for. We capture everything about you. Every click, what type of device you're on, how long you've been there, the number of pages you've looked at, are you an existing customer, what your customer value is, what your preferred method of communication is, the language you like. We hook up social media to it so I can go on and see, look, there's no way in heck that I'm going to pick up the phone and go, hey Ben, how about them Seahawks? When he now's a Viking fan, right? That stuff's smart. So let's drill into this further, okay? Let's say we have a 55-year-old person, a construction manager, leased his F-350 Super Duty on a 3-year, 36,000-mile term. However, we look closer, we see he drives 15,000 miles a year. He can't afford to lose his truck because it's his job, it's his office, it's his home, right? Must be able to tow a trailer, needs to trade out prior to exceeding his lease allocation. This is the dumbest, most basic level of analytics today. How is it going to go further? It's going to get much, much, much deeper. We're going to look and realize we have a single 25-year-old male. He has good credit. He drives low miles per day. Services his car only twice a year. Style and performance are his two most important attributes. Style and performance are his two most important attributes. He's a big, big influencer in the community. If you bought a car right now, would you put it up on Facebook?
Heck yeah.
Within seconds, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
And if you got good service, would you tell the world about it?
Absolutely.
This could be this person right here. Is that going to make a difference in your community?
Except the good credit card.
That's true.
Except the good.
Okay, he's a heavy social media. His cloud score is 56. His current truck, which is an F-150 Raptor, is in high demand, and it shows up on 3 other prospects in our store right now. 3 other people would like that truck, but they couldn't afford it new. So what do we do? With his good credit and equity, his current truck, we could swap him out and keep his payments the same. So he got me a new customer, a happy customer, a new piece of inventory, and a large gross on the trade-in, trade-up, trade-out, right? Let's go further. The next concept that people are going to have to get used to in this industry is data hygiene. Because we're going to be so data reliant, you have to understand that data hygiene will be a must, not a nice to have. Your data is one of your most valuable assets. Anybody in this room buy or sell a store before in your life? So I have. You know what really mattered? There were smarter people than me, right? There's guys like KPA that came in and said, hey, this is all your stuff, all your data, all your accounting, all your compliance, everything. Heck, they even checked the floor drains in service to see if I was in violation. True or false? And they literally dug in there, took a sample and said, there's too much oil in here. Right? I had to clean them out before I could sell the property. It was a hazardous waste dump, right? But what people don't understand is, you know what the one thing when I sold my store, you know what blue sky is? Blue sky is the opportunity in your primary marketing area. Units in operation against penetration. That's what they really care about when they're buying a store. And you know what it is? It comes down to your data. But the question is, how well are you treating it today? Are you protecting your data? Are you appending your data? Are you updating your data? Because your data is more valuable. Someone made a comment earlier. It said, if it's the 15th of the month, you're halfway through your sales cycle, you're not going to hit your goals, what are you going to do? You're not going to stand on point if you know what you're doing. You're going to jump into your database and go out and create your business. In Minneapolis, it snows a lot. It's crappy, right? It was referred to as reversing the job jackets before we had technology. We'd go into the F&I office, and we'd grab everything from 18 to 42 months. We'd grab all the folders out, and we'd look at the deals and say, how did you buy the deal, Patrick? What did you buy? How did you finance? How many payments have you made? What was your down payment? And I'd take that against incentives and against Black Book, and I could see if I could give you a new car for the same price. I created business. I didn't wait business to come to me. We're in the now business. Give me the example of why data hygiene is so important. Because look, it'll become bigger and bigger issues. People are going to opt out. If you piss me off, Val, what's the most dangerous button on the internet besides the back button? The opt-out button. Because then you lose the ability to communicate to me. We spend thousands and thousands of dollars for the opportunity to communicate with you, and then once we have a relationship, we spend no money to keep it. That's completely wrong. Think about that. What does your store spend in marketing to new customers? What does your store spend for existing customers? And by the way, we all know, where do you make the most money? Where's the highest CSI? Who's most likely to refer a friend? Who's going to use your service department? Who's going to buy parts from you, right? It's completely logical. If you stop using your gut and start using analytics, you'll realize how silly the car game is still today for most people. Look at these things like opt-outs, these things like open rates, these things like how many customer views per month. These aren't nice to haves, these are requirements. I will literally eat a market alive up with someone that's not playing to this level. It's so simple. And there are plenty of dealerships doing this today. All right, here's a big one. Advertising and marketing tools are changed forever based on data segmentation. I don't mean to offend any marketers in the room, but let me tell you something. Media fragmentation is accelerating. Mass media has lost its mass. There is no such thing as mass media. We forgot to tell the mass media companies, and I work for a media company. There isn't. Please name one thing that 30,000 people would all agree on. I'd like that message. Okay, let's change that. What are 30 messages we could give 1,000 people? Does that make sense? So when you bring in these big marketing firms and they say, I'm going to give you 1.5 to 3%, Peter, I'm going to rock it. Tell them to go fly a kite. Because if it's not double digit, they're not doing their job right. They're lazy. How does a mass marketer make its money? They lick, stick, and call. Patrick, they lick, stick, and call. If they want to make more money, how do they do it then? Lick, stick, and mail more. Isn't that exactly opposite to what you're trying to do? By definition, they're the car dealer's worst enemy. So how do you change it? Segment the data. Okay, the ultimate goal is to dynamically change the messaging based and content based on the prospect and real-time behavior. This is in play today. Anybody buy anything from American Express? Anybody buy anything from Amazon.com? When you buy something from Amazon.com, what happens when you log back on? I would recommend if you bought these beautiful earrings, you might want this necklace. If you bought this watch, you might like this belt. Why? It's analytics saying people like you that bought this are likely to buy that next. That's velocity. It's here today. It's such a deadly tool in all. So here's a normal segmentation in the auto industry today. It's called we segment the database, right, to refer to a defecting customer. So we look for customers that have not been in service, that have been in service 270 days. We haven't seen it in 120 days. They're considered a defecting customer. Within the industry, the marketing companies do not narrow the results to an infinite enough level. For example, a typical marketer would set the data set for, let's do a 1995 oil change to bring people back. But they forget to look at things like, do they drive a hybrid? Do they drive a diesel? Is it a wholesale? Is it a trade-in? Right? Is it a hybrid? Is it a fleet customer? Does it have more than 5 liters of oil? Is it a Nissan Leaf? I'll give you a perfect example. I buy a new F-150 every 12 months. King Ranch 350 Super Duty. Love the truck. Right? And my best friend owns that Ford store, owns 3 Ford stores. Mud Advertising walked in the door and said, hey, we can make you some money. So I got a flyer in the mail. It said 1995 oil change. I'll pay 3 times for that. You know what a diesel oil change is? $129. Because I didn't respond to their velocity test. The next one was a tire rotation. Guess what it excluded? 19-inch and above. On the VIN, you could understand that I had 20 inches factory from Ford. Let's go further. In 12 years, I bought 14 trucks from this guy. Okay? 12 years, 14 trucks. He goes and gets 15 cars from the auction. They decided that because of my credit score, I could afford to buy that car. So they send me this. Would you like to get an incredible buy on a Fusion? I literally called them up and said, unless a Fusion's something in my gas tank, I don't know what I'd do with it. Look at my data. I can't drive a car. I got kids. I got dogs. I hunt. I park in the parking lot. I got to drive through snow. It's got to go anytime I'm ready to go, right? So what in theory he was doing was bringing me closer, but bad analytics did what? Drove me away. Does that make sense? So let's go into where we're going to start to see it really get advanced. We now have the ability to drill in data from multiple angles. There's the key. Using multiple resources like the OEM's data, like your bank positions, like equity, and combine what we understand about the buying habits specific to you, Chad, not to the general masses, to you, sir, right? So we look at this stuff, and we can put an optimized together to trade in, trade out, trade up scenario. Here's a perfect example of a buyback campaign that I do with Hyundai buyers. We got a 2008, 2010 Hyundai, right? They've been in service in the last 90 days. That's important, so I understand the car hasn't been smoked with crack or has a big fender missing or whatever. I've visually seen the vehicle, right? Okay, I understand the customer has an inequity position of $2,000. They are underwater on this vehicle. They do not own positive equity. We could see, based if they bought an extended warranties or other products that can be refunded for repurposing and cleanup. Right? Makes sense? So let's keep going. Upon that, we also know that Hyundai has loyalty rebates of $500 to $1,000. Why wouldn't I put that into play? And on top of that, there's advertising incentives for kickbacks and stair-step programs. Why wouldn't I take that into play? Right? By putting this all together, this is how I can identify who to buy my next Hyundai. See, I don't need to walk in a dealership today and say, how many cars are we going to sell today? I can walk in a dealership and say, we're going to sell 25 to 40 today, and here's how. And I'm never going to stand on point. Did you stand on point? I didn't stand on point. It was too much work. Hey, you know why I don't lift weights? Because they're heavy. Right? This is the new way to use units, move units. It's working smarter with your data. Okay? This is going to be another big, big one. And many of us here, based on the things that we talked about, Peter isn't, commenting on last night on the bus, it was the glow in front of most people's faces, is single channel listening versus multiple channel listening. Today, most of our tools, like social media, like text messaging, like CSI, like email, are a single form of communication. It's monitoring one channel. So I'll give you an example. He checked into a hotel. I was in Nebraska, and my flight got canceled. And I'm a very, very high status person on Delta, similar like yourself, right? I fly 2A, right? And I tweeted, sucks, Delta closed another flight. I'm going to miss my kid's football game. The diamond level concierge called me and said, you have 2 other flights on 2 other carriers. We don't want to miss your kid's football game. That was from a tweet. And I put deltasucks.com as the hashtag. Within 3 minutes, Delta called me personally and offered to reroute me on non-carrier flights that was not revenue generating for them. I responded with, I just got a call from Delta. I was so impressed. They're getting me home. Not only that, but they put 20,000 points onto my portfolio right there, laid it all out. My Sky mileage points went up. How cool of a response was that? The plane had a mechanical problem. That wasn't their fault. But they saw the value of me as a customer, like they see the value of you as a customer, right? And that's the response. Do you think that drove me closer to Delta or further away? I don't care what the price is. I'm flying Delta. So, but the problem and the point is, the tools today don't have the ability to aggregate this. Customer makes a response, dealership gets it, comes back. They're searching and following one form of media today. The future is this. The future is multi-channel analytics that will handle all of the sourcing and messaging. It allows you to draw all the pieces together, draw comparisons between your cloud score, your SMS, your YouTube, your Google+, your Chrome, your Pinterest, all of these things together. If I buy a new car today, I'll take a picture and it'll be on Pinterest. If I'm a car dealer today, every single one of my units would be on Pinterest. It'll take maybe 10 seconds. And you get these boards. You guys were talking last night. You guys are using Pinterest. How's it working? How do you judge it, right? Why are you doing it? Because you feel it's going to catch on? Because there's more and more eyes, more and more chances to be seen? That's the right attitude. Yeah. The future of all these technologies to be able to monitor all of the communications, not a single communication. But hang on. What's still the most powerful form of marketing known to mankind today? Word of mouth. The question is, are you listening? Because I could say to Peter, Peter's a great guy, but I could bomb him on a review, right? Now, is he really listening to me? The Delta example is a great one. Delta didn't listen to my phone call. I never called Delta. I threw out a tweet, and they had a multi-channel listening system that picked up on one of the forums that I chose to announce on, and they caught it and used it as a competitive advantage. Mobile. We've beat the hell out of this, right? But you got to understand, if you're not in mobile, you're not in the game, period, end of story. I don't know how well this will work because we don't have a whole lot of sound, but we'll give it a try. Ooh.
There's a mobile movement going on. The rise of smartphones is creating smarter consumers, creating more opportunity for smarter marketing. Smartphones are always on, always with us, and always connected. In 1 week, we browsed the internet, used a search engine, watched a video, and connected with our friends, all on our smartphones. But that's info you might already know. Here's something you might not. We're using smartphones almost everywhere, even while consuming other media. Smartphones have become such an important part of our lives that many of us would give up high heels, cable TV, even chocolate, just to keep using them. They're becoming important to our shopping habits too. Smartphones have become the ultimate shopping companion, transforming us into more savvy consumers. 79% use a smartphone to help with shopping. In fact, 70% of us actually use our smartphone while in the store. We use it to find retailers, compare prices, get coupons, read reviews, and check to see if something's in stock. Which leads us to buy. Nearly 3/4 of shoppers make a purchase as a direct result of the info we got from our smartphones, either in store, online, or on our phone. Our new mobile shopping habits are adding up to big spending across the board. And where do we do most of our shopping? Usually in our own backyard. In fact, finding mobile information is one of the most popular smartphone activities. We're using our phones to find everything from the nearest pizza place to movie showtimes to finding the nearest store that carries the item we're looking for. And 88% of us use that mobile information and take action within a day, whether to call or visit a local business. Over the past year, mobile search queries have skyrocketed to new heights as we search for everything from product reviews to travel info to random trivia that can help us settle bets with our friends. And for others now, we're seeing a product in store may lead people to search on smartphones. 71% of us search because we saw an ad, both on traditional media and on our phones, and we're acting on it. 9 out of 10 mobile users have taken action all thanks to a smartphone search. The simple fact is, mobile ads work. Recall seeing a mobile ad? You're not alone. 82% of us do. Yet 79% of top advertisers don't have a mobile-optimized website. It's important to build a good mobile user experience because if we see a mobile ad, we tend to click on there, visit the advertiser's site, make a purchase, or call the business. Today, we use smartphones to stay connected, to keep us entertained, to search for information on the go, and to make us smarter shoppers. And we're going to be doing a lot more of this, creating more opportunities for marketers to connect with their customers. Don't miss the mobile. Mobilize your market to reach the new smartphone consumer.
How many people here are completely optimized for mobile? If you're not, you're absolutely insane, right? It's not if. It amazed me the other day. My son and I were out shopping for a Christmas present for him. And in the store, as we were deciding on a snowmobile, my son, who's 11 years old, pulled out his iPhone and Googled ratings on that make and model for a 2013 unit. In the store, before we bought it, as we're walking to pay for it, he goes, "Hey, Dad, this is the one we should buy. Check out the ratings of it." He's 11.
And when we talk about service, if you have a body shop, so neglected, someone gets in a fender bender, they type in body shop collision center, they're looking for a place. They don't have a relationship, unless you're a shitty driver, with a collision center, right? So when it happens to you, if it's not something that has to be towed, you're looking. Service, you go in your local market and put in Toyota oil change, Chevy oil change, who's there? Jiffy Lube, Pep Boys. Franchise dealers aren't there, and it's these click to call, which Peter said. The mobile ads have like a 400% ROI over normal desktop ads, meaning the conversion rate, the click-through rate is like 400% more. When you start adding the call, the localization, what Sean just saying that someone who clicks on a mobile ad is making a decision in a very short period of time. Our fixed ops department, instead of doing that $5,000 autopilot blast direct mail piece, and we're wondering why our retention rate for our customers, why our service business isn't going through the roof. Well, taking $1,000 a month and moving it to mobile fixed ops search. I mean, you'd laugh because it's tracking phone number and leads. Just go ahead and do it, and you'll see that you'll be the only